Hello, today we're talking slope-intercept form, and this is Chapter 3, Lesson 4. Let's get started. So, the goals for today, what are we going to accomplish? We're going to be able to identify the y-intercept and the slope in an equation. So that's kind of us introducing what slope-intercept form is. We're going to write an equation. They're going to give us the slope, they're going to give us the y-intercept, and we're going to write our own equation. Then we're going to look at a graph. We're going to find the slope and find the y-intercept and then write an equation. So it'll be just like this once we identify what the slope and the y-intercept are. And then we're going to graph a line when given an equation in slope-intercept form, which we're going to use the y-intercept and the slope. Remember, the y-intercept is the point on the graph where our line crosses the y-axis. So just a little review there. All right, so this is slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. It's my favorite form as far as linear equations go because it always gives me pretty much everything I need, and I think it's the easiest form in which to graph in as well. So I like slope-intercept form. Now, in slope-intercept form, the slope is this m value. It's a number like 5 or a fraction like 1/3. So it's just a number. X is the variable, so X is not part of the slope. Oftentimes when I ask kids, what's the slope, and let's say this was 5, they would say 5x, but it's just the 5, or just the m, not the variable x. And then B is the y-intercept, the point on the graph where the line crosses the y-axis. All right, so this is the y-intercept. So this would be a good thing to write down with these labels as well. All right, so in example 1, what is the slope and the y-intercept of y equals 3/4 x minus 5? This would be another example I write down. And if it were me, I would just circle the 3/4 and say that this is the slope of the line. So it's a positive 3/4, so it would go from every good point, it would go up 3, forward 4. Okay, and then the minus 5 is the y-intercept. And that is what we have to do in example 1. They're going to give you an equation. You've got to identify the slope and the y-intercept. Where they can throw you off a little bit is if they give you something that's not solved for y, you may have to solve an equation for y to identify what the slope is and what the y-intercept. And remember, this only works when an equation is in y equals mx plus b. All right, so again, the y-intercept's -5. There's your tip. Don't forget that guy, and if there was a sign here, don't forget him either. So it's -5, positive 3/4. All right. In example 2, this is it right here. They're going to tell you the slope. The slope is 2, and the y-intercept is -8. And I just got to write them in my slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write y equals 2x minus 8. So m is 2. B is -8, so I just put these numbers into the equation. And just think of this as -8. These are probably a poor choice of bullets. Sorry about that. But here's my equation. 2x minus 8. Y equals 2x minus 8. So I just substituted 2 in for m and -8 or -8 into the b value. That sign will be that sign. All right. Now, we're looking at a graph. All right, we're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form for the graph shown. So what's the slope of this line? I'm looking for good points. That looks like a good point to me. That looks like a good point to me. Also here. But I'm just going to use these two. All right, and so I'm looking at these 2 points. All right, and I'm looking at a rise of -2. So down 1, 2. And then a run of forward or right 3. Oh, I lost my pointer. 1, 2, 3. So -2/3 is my slope. And this is also the y-intercept, which is at +1, so +1. And now this becomes just like the last example. We write our equation. Y equals, here's our negative slope, -2/3 x plus 1. It was a +1. So we have +1 here. So that is what it's going to look like when you're given a graph. You find the slope, identify the y-intercept, and write your equation. All right, where I think the most important part of this lesson is graphing something in slope-intercept form. So what we're going to do, we're going to plot our y-intercept, and we're going to use the slope to plot one more point, and we're going to use our slope as rise, excuse me, over run. Rise, how far I'm going up or down, in this case up, and how far I'm going to the right, in this case 3. So my y-intercept is -2. I'm going to put a dot there. Okay, down 1, down 2, -2. And then I'm going to use the slope to find one other point. So rise over run is right there. Okay, up 1, forward 3, or right 3. And then I like to, it's good practice to kind of go in both directions. So, because when we start solving equations by graphing, we may have to work backwards to figure out where we run into the other line. So it's good practice to go down -1 and back 3, -3, and -1 divided by -3 is +1/3 as well. So I can put a dot there, and then I just connect the dots. So this is what you're going to need to do today. We want you to try the got it's in this section. So try all 4. All right. And good luck. We'll see you guys next time.